Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I usually do stuff about hair, but today I'm going to talk about a collab that I did with a brand called MeeraBeautyCo. It's a new brand, minority owned. It was created last year, and I collaborated on their Bloodline collection. So I created this palette here, this makeup palette called Kolwezi Queen with the brand, and it just launched. We got sold out. I'm so happy. And so this is the palette that I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about the cover of it as well as the colors and the name. So because it's a whole concept, right? It's a whole, there's a color story in this palette. So this is what I'm going to talk about today. So if you're interested, stay tuned. So before I move on to talking about Kolwezi Queen, I'm just going to present the two other palettes here. So here we have Bombay Baby, which is this beautiful Indian woman. Of course, we have Bombay, which is in India, and you can just see that she's, I mean, from the cover, you can see that we're talking about a beautiful Indian woman, right? And then we also have Beijing Baddie, right? This is a baddie from Beijing, China, that you can see here. I just love the sunglasses as well as the hairpiece. Like there's a swirl hairpiece. I just think it just makes the look. So these are the two other palettes in the collection, in the Bloodline collection that we have here, paired with Kolwezi Queen. So these are the three colors that we have, I mean the three palettes that we have here. Beijing Baddie, Bombay Baby, and Kolwezi Queen. So in Bombay Baby, we have multiple colors that you can see here. Very pigmented, and all the colors are kind of related to the Indian culture that you can see here. Of course, we have turmeric, we have lassi, and we have puja and sari, which is a beautiful pink color that, of course, we know that Indian women wear the sari. So the color story is also related to the Indian culture, right? And then in Beijing Baddie, we have also beautiful pigmented color here related to the Chinese culture, right? We have lotus here, and then we have dynasty and dragon. So those are extremely beautiful color, and my favorite color in this palette here is royal flush. I love royal flush. Like it's in the French version of this video, the makeup look that I have there, I will use royal flush in that style, and I just think that the final result is beautiful. And in this color, my favorite color is bindi and turmeric. Those are my two favorite colors. Bindi is this glitter color here, pressed glitter. It's beautiful when you use it, just letting you know. All right, so moving on to this beautiful queen here, the Kolwezi Queen palette. I'm going to start with the palette cover, and then I'll move forward with the color story. First of all, what is Kolwezi? I'm sure a lot of people ask themselves, what is Kolwezi? So Kolwezi is a city in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Of course, you can see in the palette here it's written DR Congo. I'm from DR Congo, and so it's a city in one of the richest region of our country, which is called Katanga. It's equivalent to a state, right? The state of Katanga. So that's where we have the city of Kolwezi. And why Kolwezi? Because we were looking for a name that was that could match queen, right? We wanted like a K sound for the name, and so that's why I picked this name instead of all the other names I could have picked from the region. But there's also a story to Kolwezi that I want to talk about, not specifically to Kolwezi, but the region Kolwezi is located in, that I wanted to talk about. So that's where the name Kolwezi is coming from. Is the name of a city in Congo, one of the richest cities in Congo, I'll say. Yeah, exactly. So first, what you'll see on this palette here, you'll look at the background color. So for the background color, I wanted a color that was similar to copper, at least kind of close to copper, because in Kolwezi, we find one of the highest grades of copper, right? Congo is known for its natural resources, and we have a lot of it. Like our underground is filled with like natural resources. So that's why I wanted this color, to make sure that the idea behind it was that the queen is coming out of her kingdom, right? So the idea was that the color would be her kingdom, and the queen is walking toward us, her subjects. Hail to the queen. She's walking toward her subject like us, right? So that was the idea behind having this color here. So and then what the second details that you're going to see here are the crosses that we have here. So the crosses that we have in the background, the crosses that she has as a bracelet, and the crosses that she has, the cross that she has like connected to her necklace. So basically, before colonization, there was a kingdom, right? There were a lot of multiple kingdoms across Africa, and the kingdom that was located in the region of Kolwezi had used crosses, copper crosses, as their money, like their currency. So that's why I put those crosses here, because we are, again, this is the queen of Kolwezi. Of course, a queen, you know, must have some form of wealth, and the crosses were symbolic, right, to the region, to the kingdom, you know, the past kingdom, the region, and she's a queen, and so that's why I wanted to put the crosses here that you have here. Those are the details. And then the next detail that you're going to see are the earrings. Okay, so the earrings, as you can see here, we have kind of a deep green color right there, like an emerald green color. And there's also a reason behind it. As I said, in the region of Kolwezi, we have a lot of natural resources, and in the region of Kolwezi, you can find malachite, which is a stone that you can find in Congo, and it's just one of the most beautiful stones I've seen. The sculpture, the jewelry that can be made out of malachite, I'm not sure in English if you say malachite or malachite, but I'll spell it and then you'll see, and I'll put the picture. It's just one of my favorite stones. I love like the earring sculpture about it, so I was like, I wanted to make sure that we have that color here as well, and I just wanted also a pop of color, you know, in the background, not just plain gold. And moving on to the next detail, you look at her crown. So looking at her crown here, you'll see that we have shells, right? So why this type of crown? First of all, I didn't want to make a Western crown, right? You know, the typical crown that we see in like Western culture, because she's an African queen, right? Congo is in Central Africa. She's an African queen. So I wanted a crown that was related to the culture, right, of Congo. And so that's why you have the shells here. But also back in the days, one of the biggest kingdom in Central Africa was called the Kingdom of Congo, the Congo Kingdom, which is also the kingdom we have our name from, Democratic Republic of Congo. And back in the days, shells were used as also as a currency in the Congo Kingdom, right? So that's why I wanted to make sure that we have shells there, because it's all like related to the culture of Congo. So that's why we have the shells here. They were called Nzimbu in the Congo Kingdom. And also okay, talking about the crown, you also see that the crown is very typical to, I'll say, Black culture, especially now. Like there are more and more, I feel like I've seen it a lot with the Beyonce when she was pregnant. I forgot which year it was, with the twins, right? And then I see more and more of us are starting to do that. So that's why we have it there. Since we are talking about things on her head, I also want to talk about the ponytail. it's not just a plain ponytail. She actually has braids, right? So when I was talking to the designer, I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't the, you know, plain ponytail. I wanted to make sure that, you know, she had patterns so that people can tell that she's having braids. And braids, we all know that, you know, it's, you know, braid is black culture, right? It's not just African or Congolese. Black women around the globe in all the continents wear braids. So I wanted to make sure that we had something that was really related to black culture, right? So that's what we have here. So I'll say those are the details that you can see on her face, right? And then one last detail I'll say is the dress that she's wearing. I also wanted to make sure that it wasn't just a plain, you know, a plain color, because, you know, I'll just talk in general. Like African, we are kind of identified by like a cloth. It has different names depending on the country. In Congo, we call it liputa. In Lingala, we call it kitenge in Swahili, or we call it pagne in French. And but I think Nigerian call it Ankara. But I mean, it's a cloth that when you see somebody wearing it, you can kind of guess that they are from Africa. So I wanted to make sure that we kind of had kind of a pattern, not too much because we had already a lot on the cover, but some form of pattern on her dress, you know, so that it's really identify that she's an African woman / Congolese woman. And oh, one last detail would be her posture. So the first version of this cover, she was kind of looking at us straight, if I can say us. And so I was telling the designer, no, we have to make sure that she's kind of on the side, because the idea is that she's walking toward us, right? And then she has to have some form of a posture. She's, you know, she's a queen, she's royal. Like, I wanted to make sure that she was giving royal vibes, if you know what I mean. So this is the last detail that you'll see on the cover, and also making sure that we have the right Congo written here, because there are actually two Congos. We are separated by the river Congo. We are only, I mean, the two capital cities are only 15 minutes apart. Kinshasa and Brazzaville are the closest city in the world. Like, yeah, the shortest distance between two capital cities, you know, fun fact. But yeah, I want to make sure we have the actual DR Congo, Democratic Republic of Congo, where I'm from, 243. Hashtag 243. Okay, so this is what we have on this palette cover. I hope that you like it as much as we do. I think she's so beautiful. I cannot stop staring at her. I remember when we had the final version of this, I was like looking at it like every 5 minutes. I was like, oh my god, we did it. So now that we've spoke about the cover, I'm going to move on with the colors. So as I said in the beginning of the video, this is like a concept, there's a color story, and I just want to share with you, right, to kind of explain like the names and the colors and why they were chosen. So that's what we're going to talk about next. So first we are going to start with these three colors here. Okay, so these three colors are the colors of the Congolese flag. So the Congolese flag is blue, yellow, and red. So I wanted to make sure that we have the three colors of the Congolese flag from the beginning, from the get-go. I wanted these three colors, and I wanted to place them on the palette in a way that it can be recognizable. Like if somebody really like pay attention, they could see that. And the names also like follow like the meaning of the colors on the flag. And actually my cousin Elsa was the first one, actually the only one, to tell me that, hey Sigelen, I see what you did here. You actually put the flag colors here, and like I just love it, right? She was the first one to tell me that. I mean, the only one to tell me that. Yeah, but that's the reason why we have these three colors here. So now let's move to the meaning of these three colors. So here we have the blue color called kimia, and it's a beautiful pressed glitter pigment, very beautiful. I recommend trying a style with it. So blue in the Congolese flag represents peace, right? So we all want peace for all our nation, especially Congo. For the past 22 years we've been through a lot, and even before that, and we just wish, you know, peace for the country. And the name of the color, which is kimia, means peace in Lingala, which is one of the 4 national languages that are spoken in Congo. So French is our official language. We have 4 national languages, and then we have more than 300 other languages that are spoken in Congo. And then the next color that we have here is called damu. So it's a red matte color. And red in the Congolese flag represents blood, and it's the blood of the our founding fathers, if I can say. In founding father, I'm talking about the heroes of our independence, Patrice Lumumba, Joseph Okito, Maurice Polo, and many others. And the name Damu is in Swahili, and which is one of the 4 national languages in Congo, and it translates to blood in English. The following on to the next color, which is called Bubanji, which is this also pressed yellow glitter, beautiful as well. And the yellow color in the flag of the Congolese flag represents wealth. All right. Congolese wealth. So Congo is often called like a geological scandal, if I have to like translate word from French, because we have so many natural resources. Like and in the Kolwezi region is like the richest one in natural resources, like the region where Kolwezi is located. So of course we have to, I mean, boast about it. I think boast is the right word. And yeah, so that's the meaning of the yellow in the Congolese flag. So I wanted just to say that, you know, it's not just about the natural resources. I think culturally Congo is extremely rich, right? If we speak more than 300 languages, there are more than 300 tribes. The variety in like the food, the culture, the music. I have to talk about the Congolese Rumba, which was, especially back in the kind of 60s, 70s, it was one of the most popular in Africa, the genre at least, like the Congolese Rumba. And up until today, I think there's the variety of like the songs and the sounds, everything that we create. And talking about that, there was a documentary that came out that's called Rumba Congolese, which is like Congolese Rumba, and I really highly recommend it to anyone that wants to learn more about the Congolese Rumba. It's in French, but I think you can, you know, have some subtitles, and it really talks about the very origin, like before colonization, like before, like the roots of Rumba back in the days, really like in the Congo Kingdom. So yeah, I think I just wanted to kind of, you know, give a referral to, I mean, I just wanted to mention this documentary. So now moving on to the remaining colors. The next one that we're going to talk about is this color here called Shaba. This color here, it's a pink color. So yeah, so it's a matte pink color called Shaba. And so Shaba was the name of the Katanga state, if I can call it state, province, but I'll just say state for, you know, translation sake. So it's the old name of the state where Kolwezi is located, right? So since we're talking about Kolwezi, I wanted to make sure that I was choosing a name that was also related to the region. So that's why we have the name Shaba here. And the next color that we're going to talk about, the next 2 colors that we're going to talk about are Ligné and Royal. So you pronounce it Ligné Royal. In French, it translates to royal bloodline. So I guess you understand why I have it there. So basically, Ligné is this color here, and it's a burgundy color, like a matte burgundy color. I actually use it for the style that I have right now. So pigmented, you don't need that much, like you just need to tap some some on your you know, for your eyeshadow, and it's just beautiful. So this burgundy color. So lignée translates to bloodline, right? So one of the reasons why we have it here, it translates to bloodline. And royal, which of course you can say that is royal in English, is this color that we have here. And it's kind of like a shimmer color, goldish color, like, yeah, gold shimmer color. And I wanted to make sure that I gave the name royal to this color, because, you know, of course, gold in a lot of ancient African kingdoms, and I think up until today, is the color of royalty. Basically, it's really the color of royalty. Of course, we think about the Ashanti kingdom that is in kind of Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire / Ivory Coast, and so that's why I wanted to make sure that I gave the name royal to this color. And so when you read it consecutively, it reads lignée royale, which translates to royal bloodline. And we're talking about what? We're talking about a queen, and of course all queens are of royal bloodline, so that's why we have those names written that way on the palette. So now moving on to the next two colors that we have here, called Odi and Staré. So online I see a lot of people saying starine. I'm like, maybe because the H is printed low, but it's pronounced Staré. Okay, it's Staré. And so so Odi is this kind of brown color. I'll say like it's like the perfect nude color for me, at least for my eyeshadows, and I actually use it also like as a transition color. And yeah, it's a beautiful, not too pigmented, I'll say, but like, you know, pigmented enough for its use. And especially if you want to go with just a simple, you know, eyeshadow look, like I'll highly recommend it. And then we have Staré, which is a burnt orange. It's not just orange. I say it's just this burnt orange. I just love it. So now moving on to the meaning of Odi and Staré, because those two also like are to be read consecutively. I mean, this is like I'll talk about like a cultural thing in Congo. I don't think not only in Congo, but Swahili speaking people, I think, will understand it. So basically, in like Swahili, if I say Swahili households, so when someone comes into somebody else's house, they will announce themselves and say Odi in this way. Odi, like you have to have this intonation. This intonation. And so basically it's a way of announcing yourself to your host house, and so your host will respond by saying Staré, which means it's not exactly welcome, because welcome is karibu, I mean Swahili, but like it's kind of saying, you know, make yourself home, right? And so these two colors are warm color, and so I gave this name because, you know, it's a greeting. It's like warm, right? Because when you receive someone in your house, you know, you give them a warm welcome, right? You're welcoming them in a good way. Right? I mean, you want to make them feel, you know, comfortable in your house. So this is the reason why these two colors have these names, Odi and Staré. So this is like a little cultural parenthesis. I hope you learned something about Congo. So next, we are going to talk about Mwamikazi. So Mwamikazi is this color here. Mwamikazi, it's a shimmer color, and it's kind of dark brown, copper-ish color. And yeah, I wanted to make sure that we have this color on this palette. It's beautiful. I also used it for this look. Like I used in the outer corner, like not too much, but I used it for this look. So why Mwamikazi? So I am from a region, a state called Sud Kivu, which is like in the eastern part of Congo, and I'm from a tribe called the Shi tribe. So I am a Mushi woman, okay? And so I wanted to shout out my tribe. That's why we have the name here, because I'm not from Kolwezi, okay? But I wanted to make sure that I shout out my tribe, right? And so the name Mwamikazi is in the Shi language, in Mashi. Like, it's called Mashi. The Shi language is like Mashi, and it means queen or the king's wife, basically. So Mwami is the king. We call our king like Mwami, and then Kazi is like woman. So that's why we have Mwamikazi here. And yeah, it was just a way to shout out my tribe. You know, I want to make sure whoever made this, she's a Mushi woman. So now moving on to Louège. So we have Louège here, and Louège is a rose gold shimmer color. In my video in French, the French version of this video, I also use it for the look that I have in that video. It's just a beautiful, beautiful pigment, beautiful color. So I'm going to talk more about Louège. So there are multiple pronunciations of Louège. You can find Louège, Rouège, or Roueshi. I just wanted to say that before I start talking about her. So basically, Louège is the first queen mother of the Lunda Empire. So back in the days, there was an empire called the Lunda Empire, which also covered the region where Kolwezi is located, right? So again, just making sure that there's a color story, and all the colors, you know, have a meaning and have their place in the palette. So Louège was the first queen mother of the Lunda Empire, and she has a beautiful love story, I'll say. So basically, she also had two brothers, and they were not getting along with their father. They actually, like, I think, fought their father until like they beat him up. One of the brothers beat him up until like he was bleeding, and Louège was the one that actually came and like healed him. So when he passed away, he actually made sure that Louège was his successor, not the two brothers, right? Back in the days, it was, you know, a bold move, right? Because she had two brothers. Before it was, hey, whichever is the male heir was going to be the king, but no, he made sure that Louège was going to be the king, the queen. So he gave her I'll say the symbol of power, which was a bracelet called the Lucanu, and so he made sure that she was, and he made sure also to tell like the king's council that she was going to be the successor. So now let's talk about her love story. So one day Louège and her ladies in waiting were bathing at the lake, and a hunter named Ilunga Chibinda came in. He was also a prince from a neighboring kingdom called the Luba Kingdom, which was also one of the biggest pre-colonial kingdom in Congo back in the days. So he came in, saw them, and it was just love at first sight with Louège. So Louège invited him to court, and they got married. And Louège actually gave him the symbol of power. So she gave him the Lucanu, the bracelet, and so he became de facto emperor of the Lunda Empire. And yeah, so they had a kid named Moatiav. It's not his name, but his title was Moatiav or Moatayambo, and he's actually considered as the founder of the Lunda Empire, because before it was more a confederation of nation, like a confederation of nation, rather than an actual empire. So their child is known as if I can say, the founder of the Lunda Empire as we know it today. So this is their story. I remember it from high school. I don't know why I always love that story. So moving on to the next color that we have here is Copper Belt. So Copper Belt is also a shimmer color. It's kind of it's a little bit lighter than Mwamikazi, and I also used it for this look here. Yeah, I mostly use like for the eyeshadow. It's also beautiful, super pigmented. You just, and it's like, it's very smooth. Like those two colors are so smooth. Like I just love them. So yeah, so then what does Copper Belt means? This is also a little bragging about Congo. So Copper Belt translates to I mean, in French it's ceinture du cuivre. In English it's Copper Belt, like really like copper belt, like the belt of copper, if I can say. But I cannot say that. But that's not English. So the copper belt is a region that passes through Congo and also Zambia, where you find copper, not any copper, one of the highest grades of copper. I have to say that. One of the highest grades of copper, you can find it in the copper belt. And the copper belt passes through the city of Kolwezi, right? So, and we are in the whole concept of the Queen of Kolwezi. So I wanted to make sure that, you know, all the names are related to, I wanted to make sure that the color story is coherent. So yeah, that's why we have a copper belt for this color here. And you can do more research about copper belt and learn about how rich Congo is. So last but not least, we are going to talk about the color Nzinga. So Nzinga is a matte black color. I just wanted to make sure that we had black. I just feel like black has so many uses in makeup. Under the eye, smoky eye, you can just do so many things with it. So I want to make sure we had black there. But now, why Nzinga? So as you can see, my channel name is called Nzinga Mlenga. And so Nzinga Mlenga was a queen in the Congo kingdom back in the days. And so that's where I got the name Nzinga Mlenga from. But it's also after another queen called Nzinga of Matamba and Ndongo, which are now located in actual Angola. And this queen is a queen that I admire so much. So much. I think I learned about her the first time. It was just a YouTube recommendation of a movie made, you know, for her. And yeah, I just watched the movie and I was like, oh my god, like she's so admirable. So I'm just going to talk more about her story because there are also a lot more sources about Nzinga. Queen Nzinga was the queen of Ndongo and Matamba during the 1600s, so during the transatlantic slave trade. So she was the daughter of Ngola Kilombo. Ngola means king, and she had two sisters and a brother. Her brother assassinated her son because he was perceived as a threat to his reign. You know, when her dad passed away, her brother had, you know, took power, but he killed her son, he killed his own nephew. But basically, after her brother passed away, she became the queen. He actually made sure that she was going to be his successor. So she was an extremely smart woman, extremely smart, and she's mostly recognized because of her diplomacy. So during her reign, she used a lot of diplomatic tactics, not only with neighboring kingdoms, but also with the Portuguese. Portuguese were the I'll say those that were coming in the kingdom of Congo mostly to take like Congolese people from the Congolese kingdom to make them slaves, right? So they were the slave traders in Congo, was mostly Portuguese. And so she's also recognized because of her military leadership. So she was a big fighter. Even her brother, even when they were not getting along and the kingdom were attacked by you know, neighboring kingdom that also Portuguese, he called her back so that she could lead you know, not only diplomacy but also some part of like the army attacks. So she was really widely recognized because of diplomacy and her military leadership. So yeah, I just want to talk about her because I feel like she had a lot of opposition, you know, even when she became queen. So after her brother passed away, she became queen, but she had a lot of resistance, internal resistance, right? She was a woman and there were a lot of candidates to become king of Ndongo and Matamba, but people were asking, why her? Why a woman? So she first had to fight people from her own people, right? Her own people, to, you know, make sure that she's accepted as the leader, as the king, if I can say. And she had to fight neighboring kingdoms because there were a lot of neighboring kingdoms, you know, they were fighting against them. You know, it was back in the days, kingdom expansion. And she also had to fight the Portuguese, which were coming into her kingdom to take her people and make them slaves. So she had to fight three different battles, and she won. I'll say that she won because despite all the attacks made against her, she passed away at 82 years old. right? So she did not die from a war, she did not die from poisoning or anything like that. She died from a peaceful death at 82 years old after 20 plus years of reign. So yeah, I think her story is super interesting, and I just wanted to shout her out and make sure you know that she's known out there, because I feel like we, at least Congolese, we don't know a lot about pre-colonial Africa, right? Like before colonization, like the story of Africa did not start when European came into Africa. There were kingdoms, like as cheesy as it sounds, there were kings and queens, real kings and queens, not just the Nubian or the Egyptian. There were a lot of kingdoms: the Ashanti kingdom, the Yeke kingdom, Monomotapa kingdom, Congo kingdom. There were so many kingdoms back in the day, so many strong and smart leaders, and the culture as well. And so yeah, I just want to make sure that we, I shout out a couple of people, couple of, I'll say, king and queens from pre-colonial kingdoms. So that's why we have here. I hope you enjoy watching this video and learning more about my culture, which is the Congolese culture, Louège, Odiodi, and Ndinga, and everything. And if you did, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe, because I have many other videos, and drop a comment as well, right? So thank you for watching, and I hope you'll be back. Bye!